Hello, I'm Tommy Arnold,
And I'm Brian Buford.
and we would like to thank all of you for coming to the inaugural Feast on Equality dinner. Thanks to you and your support, we were able to do some amazing things, and it's so nice to stand up as one in this community to support these LGBT students.
That's right. I tell you, it was an amazing evening. Just having you all there together in the same room sent a powerful message to our community and especially to our students that they matter, that we care about them, and that we want them to have a great experience. But beyond that, all the money that we raised and all the support that came our way really says that now we can begin to do what we know they need to thrive and succeed. And so I just thank you from the bottom of my heart. It was an amazing experience.
Most certainly was, and I want all of you to know that Feast on Equality and the Office for LGBT Services down at U of L, that we are all dedicated to showing you guys exactly what your funds are being used to do and how it's having an impact on these students' lives. And again, we're so very thankful for all of your support. For those of you who were not able to attend Feast on Equality dinner, stay tuned and watch the rest of this video because we're going to show you the presentation that we had with the student stories right after this. Stay tuned. Thank you.
Thank you.
When I was in high school, I attempted suicide. I didn't see a way out.
My parents, when I first came out to them, asked me not to tell my younger brother. They wanted some time to process it for themselves, so I respected that. I didn't tell him. In October of that year, I got a really nasty text message from him about it, and I had no idea that he had been told. My parents just up and decided to tell him on their own. And he at one point threatened to drive to Louisville and beat some sense into me with a baseball bat.
I transferred here from another university and they didn't have any resources. There was no support team.
Secondary school name calling was the biggest factor of, the depletion of my self-confidence.
In high school, I went to an all-boys school, and that was the starter of the issue because I couldn't really be myself around all those guys. I grew very close to some friends. One was Madison. We had a little relationship going. When he died, it was just really it was a struggle that I have not encountered before, and I couldn't really share that with anyone because I was different. I was gay, and not everyone knows that, so I felt like I had to internalize that.
You have students who in high school didn't know that there was anybody else out there like them. They felt shunned, they felt ashamed, they didn't have anybody to talk to, and they went through all these horrible things and events that by the time they get to college, they're just really just tired of it.
I didn't know who I was, so I play a lot of sports and everything, and one of the obstacles was just because I'm a Latino man, I grew up with that aspect of I need to be a macho man.
I said, "Mom, Dad, I'm gay," and after that, my mom started asking questions. My dad got up and said, "James," or he didn't even say that, he said, "I gotta go, I can't handle this," and he just left. And since that day, which was, like I said, the summer of 2006, because I graduated in 2007 from high school, I haven't spoken to him. My parents eventually got a divorce, and like I said, to this day, I'm now 23. I came out when I was 17. I just haven't spoken to him.
I didn't go home for Thanksgiving my sophomore year just because it was awkward, and it just, that whole like, "Oh, are you bringing anyone home this year" sort of banter, and I didn't want to deal with that, and it was just I was at an awkward place with my relationship with my parents and with my family, and so I didn't go home for Thanksgiving. And I think having events like Alternative Thanksgiving, that was like meant the world to me, and it was like, yes, I can still like have, celebrate a holiday and still like be with the people that I care about.
Going through high school, I just remember I had these feelings just trying to bring it up in high school because I went to all boys school. It was Catholic, so it was very hard to come out and stuff.
Just living every day with, words like faggot and queer being thrown around.
The most challenging part of my journey was definitely learning how to love myself and learning how to accept myself, because the environment I grew up in, if somebody did accept you or tolerate you as somebody who was LGBT, it was something they loved you in spite of, or they said, well, I love who you are but not what you do. So it was that misguided attempt to say that they supported you. In reality, there was just this thought that was always present in my head that this is something that's wrong with me, and I've been carrying it around for my whole life and it will never go away.
Debating whether or not to tell my parents was the biggest struggle. Now that I have, I'm very glad that I did, but just not knowing what their reaction would be, because my parents were the most important people in my life. So not knowing what their reaction would be, whether they would accept me or love me, that was the biggest fear for me when I was coming out.
I would get messages on Facebook from people who were 10, even 20, 30 years older than me saying, I need help. I don't want to be here anymore. Looking for emotional counseling support. And at the time, we were 18, 19. I wasn't prepared to handle that kind of thing.
When my Gay Straight Alliance advisor initially told me about U of L and the Office for LGBT Services, I was just kind of stunned. I was taken aback a little bit, that can't happen. That doesn't exist in Kentucky. So when I got here and I met you and I met all the others that worked and just hung around in the intersection, it was just really overwhelming. I just, from the second I walked onto campus, I felt the support that I had, and I knew that I could accomplish just anything that I wanted to do here, because there weren't going to be any struggles. There weren't going to be any people tearing me down like in high school, and I just knew that I had a lot of support here.
To me, the office represents identity, and it represents growth and change.
It gives me a place to come to every day where people understand my experience and what I go through, and I don't know what it would be like without this space. To U of L because of this office and wanting to get involved with these issues, and it's given me hope for my own future and the future of the students that I work with. I come from towns where they had to be in a closet or they had to be very hidden, and this is a place where they don't have to hide.
I found support here that I never would have found back home.
It's somewhere you go if you've had a bad day. It doesn't just include the LGBT community. It will help anyone.
I knew that I had some sort of chosen family at the end of the day that I could be around.
The alternative Thanksgiving, the very first one we had, I was here for, and it meant a lot to me. Not even so much personally for myself, but for the other students who were in a position similar to mine, but were maybe not as far along in their journey in dealing with it as I was.
Students either wanting to get involved or seek help, whatever they need, we've got it for them, and it makes them feel so much more safe and supported.
Learning about what transgender was and finding all these people that I actually related to, and that's what brought me to finally seek out the community at U of L.
The office has served as that sort of support system for them in place of one that they may not have.
Without the office here, I may not have been here.
I got more involved with the LGBT community, but I'm still also involved with the Latin American Hispanic Student Organization. And I thought at first that I could not merge these two because Hispanics are very traditional and it's just difficult. But as I started working more with the office of the LGBT Services Office, and I was able to kind of merge these two together.
Well, being an ambassador means to me that I get to have an opportunity to give back to the community for what it has done for me so far.
Well, the office is offering alternative Thanksgiving, and that's a chance for students to have that home feeling here.
When I was looking at the LGBT Services website and I found the list of teachers that had pledged to be allies and other staff, the enormity of it completely overwhelmed me because I was used to being happy to find one, maybe two adult authority figures who truly were okay with me and my identity, let alone columns on columns of names.
I was greeted, I was welcomed, I felt free, felt like I could be myself for the first time.
The friends that you make through U of L, through the office, are going to stick with you for the rest of your life.
And I feel that the LGBT services really saves lives.